Hearing God's call, God's voice, it's sort of unusual because he does it in not a very drastic and dramatic way. His call is like a whisper.
I think we are all hungry for something deeper, a call that'll take us to experience something of the transcendent, if you will.
Priesthood is a vocation, a relationship of love with God. And so when we are in a relationship of love, we do not focus on ourselves.
The gift of Jesus to us is joy, and that we bring people into the excitement of living through the circumstances of their lives.
The joy is there, the hope, the Christ gift that never ends. And it's kind of deepened into the deep well and searching for more water when you're thirsty.
People want priests who can connect, who can really relate to their own lives, to their brokenness, to their joys, to their sufferings.
What does discernment mean? What does vocation mean? Well, discernment is sifting through sort of how God is moving in your heart and kind of sifting apart what isn't from God, what's from the world, what's from yourself. What you want, your authentic self wants, is the same thing that God wants for you. And he's trying to tell you that. But he's a gentleman, and he speaks in a whisper, and he waits until you listen.
I found God's love. I experienced God's love in relationship in the church and in young adult ministry. And through those experiences, I was getting a glimpse of who I was as a person. God had made me, and that person was meant to do something of this nature with his life. Priesthood.
God has certainly given me a sense of beauty. There's a lot of beauty in the arts, and in my life in particular with regards to music. Throughout my kind of young years and even now, I try to keep playing the guitar and just enjoy that and let that be a way that God kind of communicates his peace to me.
When I was an actor, I'd picture myself winning some award or something like that. It kind of landed in this place where it's like, this feels like it's just for me, and it wasn't enough. You're holding this kind of statuette, you're going, yeah, but what? How can I help people with this, you know? What is this doing for me?
Studying to be a priest is not always easy. There are deadlines and academics and all the obligations we have as individual persons with our families and relationships back home. But St. John's, they really do provide every opportunity to address that. We have our 4 pillars of pastoral, human, academic, and spiritual formations. They do everything to provide us with the opportunity to explore every one of those different pillars of ourselves.
Every person has a unique story. Every person has something to offer. But what they really need is that invitation of love to be able to open and to be able to share.
I think it begins that having that openness to other people, that sort of magnanimity that kind of encompasses a life of service.
It's so important for us to have good and holy priests that are going to be able to guide everybody else in this new task of the new evangelization. It is an exciting time for the church, and I think it's an exciting time to be a priest.
This evening we're fortunate to have Archbishop Gomez come and to celebrate Mass with the men and to spend time with them. He's able to come to Juan Diego House about 3 times a year, and it gives the men the opportunity to know him, but it also gives him the opportunity to know them.
It is really amazing that there's so many priests that come and visit us, so many great priests to come and say Mass for us and to spend dinner with us. We get to ask them questions on how their seminary life was, and for them to give us words of wisdom on how to succeed is tremendous.
I had a really good time at my first college. I loved it all. But at the end of the day, I knew there was something more that I wanted. And so I came here because this is where I thought God was calling me. This place gave me an opportunity to continue to discern, to grow in my faith, and to really ask myself, where is God calling me? And they completely support me here with that.
Juan Diego House gives me this platform to minister to my home parish. We're not secluded from the community. We're there with everyday people, getting to know everyday people. They see the joy that we have. They see how excited we are to be here.
But at the end of the day, it's really great knowing that I have a place to come home to my brothers, to support me, that I can talk to, that we're all here at Juan Diego House to discern the priesthood.
I think your heart, if you follow your desires, you start to go after things that make you happy and make you fulfilled, and that's part of the plan. God wants you to get enjoyment out of the gifts he gives you. So if he gives you athletic talent, he wants you to enjoy it, but he doesn't want it to stop there. There's something to be shared.
Growing up, I never went to Catholic schools. I went to public schools my entire life, and here I am teaching at a Catholic school. It was a beautiful, beautiful gift for me.
Oftentimes I ask myself, why me? Why has God called me so imperfect, so broken, but yet God chooses me to be an instrument for these young men and women?
That is my vocation, is to be a recipient of God's immense love. It just propelled me to see myself in another light.
I love being a priest because I'm able to enter people's lives very quickly in a very deep way. It's a great honor and a tremendous privilege.
Well, I've been a priest for over 50 years, so I've kind of a little bit of experience. I will sit with a family where young children have lost a parent. I'll sit with people who are going through the painful experience of divorce. I'll sit with a couple preparing for marriage. I'll baptize a baby. I'll celebrate an event in the school with the kids.
Whatever my talents and gifts are, they're just graced. And part of what I like to do is take care of this temple, the body that God's given me.
53-year-old Catholic priest, Thomas Baker.
I think it's important to have a balance, to reflect that in the life and invite people to have that same kind of balance in their own spiritual, emotional, everyday life.
There's a special bond between seminarians and priests because we are preparing to serve the people. It's really great to spend time with my brother seminarians who serve and priests who serve.
And bless us this day and keep us safe out there in the waves.
It's important to have fellowship with one another. It's a crucial part of balance in the life of a priest and reconnecting to that which holds us together.
Having those kinds of friendships, not just in the seminary, but with guys who are already priests, is again, it's that support system. We can't do it on our own. To know that I'm not alone doing it, that these guys are going through the same stresses, but the same joys too. And we get to share that with each other. It makes us better people, more complete people to have those other priests, other seminarians, and everyone else around us.
Nature and the beauty of creation is an incredibly important part of my spirituality.
We don't want to lose ourselves and lose our character and lose our personality.
It's been a glorious day. Any day of getting in the water, it's got to be a good day. It's God's creation, and it really gives me kind of a perspective on life.
I was born and raised in Saigon, Vietnam. I was born into a family with deep Catholic roots.
Coming here as an immigrant family, in a single parent family, and not knowing the language, with all the other struggles that come with that, the church community really provided us with some place to go for support, community identity, which was important for us.
I was born and raised in Mexico. My father was a labrador, a campesino, a farmer. When I became a priest, that perspective of controlling, it was banished. I would now lead by example, and he humbled me. I had to die to myself in order to learn how to be humble, to learn who I was from the very beginning.
I have found in my own journey, in the journey of these men, that they're finding it in the silence, where the noise of the world and all the things that are happening around, and sirens and noise and busyness of the world, they're finding in the silence the voice of God.
Sometimes we can think that, God's going to communicate his plan to me in it's going to be a voice from heaven, or it's going to be some, big event that happens in my life. It's very much a slow process of God speaking to you in everyday, just normal occurrences.
My hope for the world would be that every human being would be enabled to see his or her value in the eyes of God and be respected for that value.
My hope for the world is each and every human being builds a community of love.
It is through love that we understand the deep meaning of what the world is.
Just to have a community that recognizes the mission and really supports that.
The greatest gift is the gift of the human heart. And if we can see that and see the face of Christ, I think that's the solution to a lot of the problems in the world.
That we might begin to talk to one another across all of the barriers that seem to divide us. That we may remember that there's no one in the world who's not the beloved of God.
You are loved by God in such a special way. It allows you to be open to that love and to be willing to make a difference with that kind of love.
If you're going to hear a call, you've got to listen for a very subtle movement of your heart and a still small voice of God.
Don't calculate whether you would gain something, but take courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear.